I'm just getting back from St. Louis. I was down there at the Ferguson Commission meeting, and I'm going to tell you, the information that is out here is damaging to St. Louis County. They actually found out that the ordinance for the state stipulates that only about 30% of the monies taken in the form of traffic fines could actually be kept by the different municipalities. And they anticipate about $45 million a year is being collected in those regions. So say if they, and some of them have gone as far as to take 60% of the monies that they've collected. Now, some of the attorneys there was stating that the statute clearly states in the state of Missouri that the overage of the 30% that these municipalities collect is supposed to be reported immediately to the state, and the overage is supposed to be submitted. Well, the question came up by the Ferguson Committee: whose job is it to make certain that happens, or to levy penalties or sanctions or punishment against those who don't do that? And the attorney said, well, it doesn't stipulate who. It has a law there, but it doesn't stipulate who's the agency that's directly in charge. So they kept pressuring them, the committee members pressuring the attorneys to give them an answer as to who is probably responsible for this, has the authority to levy punishment. And they said, well, it could be the state auditor's office or the Department of Revenue or the Attorney General. So in January, they're asking representatives from those departments to come and to give their statement on this. But these funds above the 30% that the municipalities are supposed to keep from these traffic violations is supposed to go to education. And you know, in St. Louis County districts like Normandy, there's been tremendous financial deficits, to the point where some of the schools are about to close. Transporting children around and so forth, when all of these monies were supposed to have been dumped into the educational fund. So the ramifications behind this are very serious. Also, another question came out from one of the attorneys, a statement reading the law, that if in the event these municipalities do not report those revenues and pay the revenues to the state, then they shall virtually immediately lose their jurisdiction as courts, municipal courts. So now you get into really a can of worms, because that means, and they said that it is very clear that these municipalities, if they don't do that, submit the monies over the 30%, that they shall lose their jurisdiction as courts. So that means that any of the people that were tried and found guilty of infractions and tort, civil violations of civil law, those people really have a cause that they really should not have been levied to be guilty and have to pay fines anyway, because the court was in violation. It was a moot court. It was a court that was in violation of state law, and if you're in violation of state law, you don't exist. So, man, that means potentially hundreds of thousands of people, and the monies that they paid were actually levied against them and penalties against them fraudulently. They also made reference to the fact that in this state, too many children are being picked up not for warrants, but for wanteds. If a police officer has a probable cause that a person is suspect in any violation of the law, they can put a wanted out, which that means you'll be apprehended just for questioning purposes. So one of the attorneys said it's horrendous what she's seen in St. Louis County, that so many children, juveniles, are being picked up on wanteds. And you know, they don't report juveniles missing for 24 hours. And the police officers can keep these children for 24 hours, and the parents don't even know where they are. So they call it actually a travesty against the juveniles, and is running rampant in St. Louis County, where a cop can have a child pulled over for wanted. Now, adults can be pulled over for wanted or put in the system as wanted also, but there has to be probable cause, and they're finding that this has not existed. One of the attorneys brought up how pitiful this, how stupid the system is, that people with children, because they have so many people, maybe 400 or 500 people trying to come into a courtroom in one night, they don't allow children in many of the courtrooms, and so some don't have babysitters. And so they brought up one case where a woman chose to leave her children in the car so she could pay her fine so that she wouldn't have a warrant on her. And believe it or not, some cops saw the children in the car and stuck this woman with endangering the welfare of children charges. So this system is really messed up. But I'm telling you that from the recommendations that the Ferguson Committee made this night, not the committee, but the attorneys to the committee, and there were some attorneys that worked out of WashU in different places, this system in Missouri, and as far as the municipal courts are concerned, will never be the same again, because what was revealed in these sessions tonight is very damaging. So hope this update does you some good. And this, I think this is probably maybe December the 16th or 17th. First Monday is on a Monday, the second week out. So have a good one and good night.